The very first time my daughter-in-law casually ordered me to pack up my monitors and vacate my own apartment, I did not raise my voice or tell her no. I am 52 years old, and 3 years ago I completely upended my life to return to university as a full-time student majoring in information technology. It is not exactly the path most women my age take, but after my husband passed away and my son Mark moved out to start his own life with Chloe, I realized I finally had the time to pursue the degree I abandoned 30 years ago. I worked hard, I saved up, and I leased a beautiful, modern, fiber optic equipped apartment right near the university campus. It is my sanctuary, filled with my servers, my textbooks, and the quiet peace I earned. Before we get deeper into this mess, I would love to know where you are listening from today. Drop your city or country in the comments below. It is always amazing to see our community from all over the world. Now, back to what happened. It was a Tuesday afternoon, and I was deep into a complex Python coding project for my advanced software architecture class. The apartment was completely silent, except for the clicking of my mechanical keyboard and the low hum of my desktop fan. Then my phone rang. I saw Chloe's name flashing on the screen. Chloe has always viewed my return to education as a bizarre midlife crisis, treating my intense studies like a silly little hobby. I answered, keeping my eyes on my code. "I am bringing my creative team to your apartment this weekend," she said. The tone she used was identical to someone ordering a coffee at a drive-through window. Her voice was flat, totally devoid of a question mark. "We are doing a massive content creation sprint, and your place has that sleek, modern aesthetic we need. Plus, your internet speeds are the only ones capable of handling our video uploads. You can just pack a bag and go crash at the university dorms or a cheap motel for a few days. We need the space clear by Friday morning." I let my hands hover over the keyboard. I did not immediately speak. There was no greeting, no inquiry about my midterms, just a directive. Chloe had done things like this before, making small assumptions about my time or my resources, constantly testing the waters of my boundaries with passive-aggressive remarks about how I had too much space for a single older woman playing student. But this was an entirely new level of entitlement. I could have yelled. I could have laughed in her face. I could have explained that university dorms do not just accept random 52-year-old women for weekend sleepovers. Instead, I simply took a breath and processed the sheer audacity of her demand. "I hear what you are saying, Chloe," I replied, my voice completely level. "Great," she said, clearly mistaking my calm acknowledgement for compliance. "I will text you the grocery list. Make sure the fridge is stocked with oat milk and fresh fruit. We have a very specific diet for the team. See you Friday." The line went dead. I set my phone down next to my mouse pad. I looked around my apartment. I looked at the dual monitors, the stacks of networking textbooks, the small kitchen where I brewed my own coffee at 5 in the morning before lectures. This was my home. I paid for it with my own savings and a part-time job as a campus IT consultant. I did not rely on my son for a single dime. And yet, Chloe had mentally annexed my territory simply because it suited her aesthetic. I realized then that if I argued with her on the phone, she would twist the narrative. She would call Mark and cry about how unsupportive his mother was being regarding her career as an influencer. So I decided not to argue. I decided to prepare the space, but strictly on my own terms. The next day, I received a text from Mark. "Hey, Mom, Chloe says she has the weekend retreat sorted at your place. Thanks for helping her out. Let me know if you need help carrying your bags to the hotel." I stared at the message. My own son, entirely oblivious to the disrespect, acting as the passive enabler he had become since marrying her. I typed my response very carefully. "Do not worry about my bags, Mark. Everything is exactly where it needs to be." I spent Thursday evening securing my digital and physical boundaries. I did not pack a single piece of clothing. Instead, I went into my network router settings. I created a dedicated guest Wi-Fi network for Chloe and her team. I throttled the bandwidth down to 3 megabits per second, reminiscent of the early 2000s. It was enough to send a text message, but absolutely impossible for uploading high-definition video files. Then I changed the password to my primary high-speed network and hid the SSID. After that, I moved my expensive espresso machine into my bedroom closet and locked the door. I took all the premium snacks, the imported teas, and the good coffee, and locked them away too. I left them exactly what a basic, empty apartment would provide: tap water, a functioning stove, and standard lighting. Friday morning arrived. I woke up at my usual time, made a simple cup of drip coffee, and sat at my desk to review my notes for an upcoming exam. At 10 o'clock sharp, I heard the electronic keypad on the front door beep. Chloe had demanded the guest code from Mark weeks ago, claiming she needed it for emergencies. The door swung open, and I heard the loud clatter of rolling suitcases and high-pitched chatter. "Oh my gosh, the lighting in here is actually perfect," an unfamiliar voice echoed from the hallway. "I know, right?" Chloe responded, her voice dripping with self-satisfaction. "I told you my mother-in-law's place is basically a studio. Just dump your bags in the bedroom. I am pretty sure she cleared out." I turned my chair around just as Chloe walked into the main living area, followed by 3 young women holding ring lights and tripods. Chloe stopped dead in her tracks. Her perfectly manicured hand dropped from her designer sunglasses. She stared at me, sitting comfortably in my oversized sweater, a textbook open on my lap. "What are you doing here?" she asked, her voice tight, dropping the bubbly persona instantly. "I am studying for my cybersecurity midterm," I said, keeping my tone perfectly polite and welcoming. "Good morning, Chloe." Her friends awkwardly stopped behind her, glancing between the two of us. Chloe took a step forward, her jaw clenching. "We talked about this. I told you we need the apartment. I gave you the grocery list. Why are you still here?" I closed my textbook slowly. "You informed me you were coming, Chloe. I acknowledged that you were coming. I never stated I was leaving my own home. There is plenty of space in the living room for you and your friends to sit down." One of the friends nervously adjusted her camera. "Chloe, I thought you said we had the whole place to ourselves for the weekend." "We do," Chloe snapped, glaring at me. "Mom, you are ruining the vibe. We are trying to work here. You have to go. Mark said you were going." "Mark does not own the lease," I replied smoothly, "and neither do you. I am a full-time student, and this is my residence. You are welcome to use the living room sofa, but my study schedule remains uninterrupted." Chloe let out a sharp, dramatic sigh, trying to maintain her authority in front of her peers. "Fine, we will just work around you. Just try to stay out of the background of our shots. And where are the groceries? I specifically asked for the organic catering spread. I pointed to the kitchen. The refrigerator is on. The tap water works perfectly. The supermarket is 3 blocks down the street. Chloe marched into the kitchen, her friends trailing behind her like confused ducklings. She opened the fridge, staring at the barren shelves. She slammed it shut and turned to me, her face flushing with anger. "You did this on purpose. You are trying to embarrass me. I am simply living my life, Chloe," I said, turning my chair back to my monitors. "I am not a hotel concierge, and I am not your maid. If you want a catered retreat, you should book a venue that provides one." The next few hours were an absolute masterclass in uncomfortable tension. I continued my coding, completely ignoring their presence. Chloe and her friends tried to set up their equipment in the living room, whispering loudly and casting resentful glances my way. The real breakdown happened when they tried to connect to the internet to start their live stream. I heard Chloe groaning in frustration from the couch. "Why is nothing loading? This is impossible. The connection keeps timing out." One of the friends walked over to me, looking apologetic. "Excuse me, ma'am, do you happen to have the Wi-Fi password? The guest network is barely functioning." I looked up from my screen, giving her a polite smile. "I am so sorry, but the main network is strictly configured for university servers and my academic use only. It has security protocols that cannot be bypassed for commercial social media usage. The guest network is all that is available." Chloe practically sprinted over to my desk. "You are doing this on purpose. I know you have gigabit fiber. Give us the main password right now. My entire weekend schedule is falling apart because you are being stubborn." I looked Chloe directly in the eyes. The polite smile left my face, replaced by a cold, unyielding boundary. "You came into my home without my permission. You demanded I leave without my consent. You expected me to fund your catering, and now you are demanding access to the infrastructure I pay for to support my education. The answer is no, Chloe. You can stay in the living room on the slow connection, or you can pack up your equipment and leave. The choice is entirely yours, but the demands stop here." She stood there, vibrating with indignation. She opened her mouth to yell, but she realized her friends were watching. The illusion of her grand, successful lifestyle was crumbling in real time. She could not force me out, and she could not force me to serve her. She pulled out her phone and furiously dialed Mark's number, stomping out into the hallway. Less than 5 minutes later, my phone buzzed. It was Mark. "Mom, what is going on? Chloe is crying. She says you are sabotaging her work weekend and treating her friends terribly. Can't you just give them the Wi-Fi password and go to a cafe for the day?" "Mark," I said, my voice steady but carrying the weight of years of silent observation. "Your wife tried to evict me from my own home for the weekend. I am sitting quietly at my desk doing my university work. I have not insulted her, and I have not raised my voice. But I will not be displaced, and I will not be bullied. If you want to provide her with a luxury studio and high-speed internet, you are welcome to rent one for her. But you do not get to volunteer my home." There was a heavy silence on the other end. "Mom, you are making this so difficult. She just wants to succeed." "And so do I replied. That is why I am sitting here studying. I will not discuss this further. Have a good weekend, Mark." I hung up the phone and placed it face down on the desk. By early afternoon, the atmosphere in the apartment had grown unbearable for them. The slow internet made their work impossible, and my silent, unbothered presence made their attempts to relax utterly awkward. They could not pretend it was their exclusive space when the actual owner was sitting right there, calmly reading about network security protocols. I heard the sound of zippers closing and tripods being collapsed. Chloe walked past my desk, her face a mask of cold fury. "We are leaving," she announced, expecting me to apologize or beg her to stay. "Drive safely," I replied, not looking up from my screen. The door slammed shut behind them, leaving the apartment in the beautiful, silent peace I had cultivated. I walked over to the kitchen, made myself a fresh glass of water, and looked out the window. The emotional weight of the confrontation lingered, but it was replaced by a profound sense of clarity. For years I had bent backward to accommodate them, trying to be the supportive mother and the easygoing mother-in-law. But giving people everything they want does not teach them to respect you. It only teaches them that your boundaries do not exist. I never received an apology from Chloe, and Mark did not bring up the incident again. But the dynamic shifted permanently. They never assumed they could use my space again. They learned that a soft voice does not mean a weak foundation. What do you guys think she should have done? Let me know in the comments, and do not forget to subscribe for more daily stories.